behind the Iran war, this MOU and everything that we're seeing today. Is this truly going to be a real MOU, a memorandum of understanding, or are we going to see maybe not so much of an MOU? Maybe we're going to see a kind of the opposite. I think this Iran war is going to continue on. I've been saying it for a long time. We also have the ramifications of everything that came from the House and the Supreme Court essentially shooting down the 14th Amendment, essentially the movement to ban birthright citizenship. They blocked that yesterday. And so now the ramifications are, if you live in the United States and if you are an illegal immigrant living here unlawfully, and if you have a child here, well, you and your child will basically have the right to live here. And you can come back and you will have American citizenship. Now, all of the liberals are saying, well, nothing's changed. This is just the way it is. Nothing's changed. They're just trying to uphold the Constitution for once. All the liberals are saying this, when in reality, the truth is, this is actually quite basically an unconstitutional thing. This is actually a loophole in the Constitution. It's being abused very badly today, and that there's really no way around that. That's everything that's happening right now. And basically all of this comes because Supreme Court Justice Amy Coney Barrett, she has a lot of a conflict of interest with a lot of this. And so when we look at all of the major developments in today's news, it's going to be quite shocking to see just how tolerant and accepting we really are towards all of this. So the question is this really going to be accepted? And is this really okay? Is this really what we should be allowing to happen? Is this really justified for what we are seeing in the United States today? Honestly, I think it's basically a culmination of corruption. And you also see that the United States is owned by Israel. We all know that. And when it comes to all of this, there's really no doubting that, right? I think everybody can be in agreement that the United States is owned, dominated by the state of Israel. And with all of this, it's basically putting this country at a standstill. So at the end of the day, we're going to look at all the news, all the headlines, what's new as much as we can. Again, we've been trying to upgrade a lot of our tech, or we're going to be upgrading a lot of our tech. As you can see, this stream is probably a little bit glitchy, and mainly because we're pretty much stored up. We're pretty much full on storage on this RAM, so we're going to be having to upgrade our tech soon, and we will be doing that. So just bear with the live stream, bear with some of the glitching, but we'll try to get through as much of this as we can without any hiccups. Ultimately, that's kind of the big challenge for today. Can we get through this stream without this thing breakage? Without this thing breaking like crazy? Maybe not today. We'll see. So again, let's dive right into the news. So when we look at all of this, it's going to be crazy. Yes, again, we are streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on YouTube. We are streaming on Facebook. And that's probably why we're glitching a lot. I'm testing a few different streaming methods out. We're trying a few different things with all of this. I've been trying a few different platforms and seeing what works, what doesn't work. We'll be probably trying to go through a new avenue here soon. So let's get right into the news. Iran war live. Qatar says positive progress has been made in the U.S.-Iran talks. Qatar's foreign ministry spokesman says positive progress was made on issues related to the MOU following separate meetings of Qatari and Pakistani mediators with the U.S. and Iranian delegation meetings. So, not bad. That's so to say. But at the same time, we also have the Fox News article. Don't really trust Fox, but we're going to go off of everything we can. We try to analyze to make sure we're getting the best kind of news and the best kind of summaries from it. So Israel war as the U.S. pushes ahead with Iran technical talks. And no, whatever you Americans do, we're actually shooting. We will be making sure you go to war with Iran. And if not, then we release the Epstein files and the full unredacted versions of them. And that's really what we're dealing with, in my opinion. Iran and the U.S. exchanged missile strikes over the weekend, collapsing trade in the Strait of Hormuz for multiple days. U.S. and Iranian officials agreed to a temporary ceasefire on Monday after President Donald Trump threatened to escalate the conflict. U.S. and Iranian officials are set to meet in Doha, Qatar on Tuesday for further negotiations, and Israel and Lebanon remain in negotiations over the Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon. Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said Monday that Israel could find itself at war with Iran within 2 days if Iran fires missiles at Israeli territory. Further discussions on the interim memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and the Iranian delegations will continue this week, a U.S. official said. And then President Pezeshkian said that Tehran is committed to the Memorandum of Understanding with the United States, providing Washington upholds its obligations. Meanwhile, Iran's Deputy Foreign Minister for Legal and International Affairs said that demining the Strait of Hormuz would only be carried out by Iran following what he called provocations by France. So I guess the real question is, are we really going to see any kind of positive movement with all of this? Are we really going to see any kind of end to this entire war? It's going to be interesting to see where things really go. It's going to be interesting to see if we can make all of this happen. And so when I look at this, I think it's really going to be up in the air. So hold on, I got to switch this up and see if we can't fix this here. Going through a little bit of problems, and we're losing frames because we are running out of data on this laptop, to be frankly honest. So it's been tough to kind of maintain these streams recently, especially because we're streaming on multiple platforms. It's kind of why we're dealing with this problem right now. I think we're going to again because streaming platforms, and so I'm going back to and laptop really not have them. If we're losing frames, just kind of bear with my voice. And tomorrow we're going to have a little bit of a better stream. We'll have more of an upgraded and high quality stream, and we won't be glitching as much here. Sorry about that. Kind of annoying when we look at all of it. So hopefully this stream will be a little bit better here. So again, oil prices today, when we look at these, oil is under $70 for the WTI crude at $68.04. Brent crude's at $71.57. Murban crude's at $65.64. And natural gas is at $3.20. So right now, basically, we are pretty much holding up barely. And I think a lot of Trump's statements have been affecting a lot of this news. And so the main issue has been essentially keeping up this stream as I'm trying to get this information out. We also have coin market cap here where essentially we have Bitcoin at 60,000. Yesterday we were under 60,000, so we're up a little bit from yesterday. Ethereum at $1,613.72, and we have XRP at $1.05 today. And then Solana's at $77.49, and that's pretty much where we're at with a lot of the crypto market. Essentially, who knows what's going to happen with crypto? We're all waiting on the Clarity Act. And that's going to be the real determination, right? Like, can we actually get the Clarity Act? Can all of this get signed so we can actually move forward? Gold's at $4,000 per ounce right now. So gold's not doing too bad. Except, it's not doing great, right? Gold isn't doing awesome. But at the same time, we're really dealing with a problem when it comes to how we can get a lot of this information out these days. So, again, these platforms aren't doing so hot. So bear with me. And of course, same problem as yesterday. Wonderful. Wonderful, same problem as yesterday. That's awesome. Stand by. Okay, we're back. I'm going to see if this works a little bit better. Trying a few different things here. Again, we've been losing a little bit of service just because I'm trying a few different streaming platforms here at the same time, and we're seeing if we can actually keep up without glitching out here, and it's not working out so well. Yesterday, we had a lot of the same problems with this, so ultimately, we're kind of trying to manage this issue. We're going to see if we can actually get through this without all of these glitches. We turned up the buy rate here. We'll see if this problem can be solved. Inevitably, X is giving me problems too. We're not able to access these platforms, which is super annoying. Very, very annoying, as a matter of fact. Let's see if I can even get into it if I go through here. Can I get in? Let's see. The issues of the internet. Of course, we can't. We can't. I don't know why. 2 days in a row have not been able to get on X. So this is awesome. Very annoying. Very irritating. This is the problems of doing live streams, right? You have to handle all of these issues. We had all this stuff organized, and now it's not. To go through, try to fix this issue, and it's quite annoying. All right, so it looks like we have a little bit more. Looks like they're opening now a little bit. Okay, let's see if I can get on here. Some of these are just giving me a lot of problems. How irritating. Just can't make it work sometimes. But we're rolling through it. I guess we start here. I guess this is all the data I have on this laptop, and at this time, I guess this is all I'm able to do. We'll go through some of these other bookmarks that I have. Luckily, I basically stored everything I wanted to for this stream, and so we'll look through all of those other clips later on in the show. But we'll see if this works. We'll see how this goes as I go. Might be a little glitchy, but bear with me. Tomorrow it'll be a much better stream. So let's take a video of this. Again, Eric Daughtry, or Dafferty, basically posted J.D. Vance talking about this entire 14th Amendment and everything that went down with this. A lot of crazy news here. Again, really should have been shot down. We don't need birthright citizenship. So again, this is J.D. Vance's comments on it. This is Amy Coney Barrett you're looking at in the corner of this screen right here. And so we're seeing, basically because of her, she has a Haitian child, by the way, so a little bit of a conflict of interest. She's one of the reasons that she did not vote for the birthright citizenship, and so we're dealing with a lot of those ramifications. So let's see what J.D. Vance has to say here and his comments on the matter. Again, be sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Again, I know we're a little glitchy. Just bear with it. We'll have better flow through with this episode soon here.
Some conservatives are angry with Justice Amy Coney Barrett. Are you one of them?
Well, look, do I think she made a mistake in the ruling? I do. I don't know how anybody can say that if a person who is an illegal alien, or a person, for example, who's pregnant and comes to the United States on a vacation, they have a baby and all of a sudden their entire family gets the benefits of American citizenship. I don't think that's what the framers of the 14th Amendment
They did not have that in mind.
I don't think it's the right case. But look, it was 5-4. Sometimes the Supreme Court makes mistakes. We're going to try to correct that mistake, but nobody's perfect, including the Supreme Court.
So again, that was what J.D. Vance had to say on the matter. In my opinion, I think it is insane. You know, when we look at this entire 14th Amendment, yes, you know, the 14th Amendment basically was written so that any kind of slaves who had children at that time during the Civil War, right after the Civil War, that they would be able to essentially, their children would be anchor babies. They would be anchored into the United States of America. And so therefore they'd be able to be contributing members of society still. And they would be able to basically have rights and all of these things, right? And so essentially they'd be American citizens because, again, they'd be grandfathered in by that system. So now today this system is currently being abused by our government, by everything we're seeing today with the U.S. government. Today we're seeing a system where it's being exploited, right? Like J.D. Vance said, you have somebody who comes over here on a vacation, whether it be a Haitian family or a Nigerian. You see this all the time. You have a lot of Nigerian immigrants coming to the United States. They'll come to the United States with, they'll be like 7-8 months pregnant. And basically they have a child specifically just so that child can be an American citizen. Then they come back 35 years later, and that kid can move out of America. They come back 35 years later, and they can run for president. And that's an anchor baby. The Vivek Ramaswamis that you have running in Ohio for, you know, the again, this position of power. And essentially, same issue, he's an anchor baby. And so according to the 14th Amendment, oh yeah, we must uphold that. But really, this is a loophole basically to allow more migration, chain migration. And the liberals love this. They say that, oh, this is how the Constitution was meant to be. This is how the founders wanted it to be. This was what they intended. But it's not true. Because really this is being abused by the Democrats, and again, the Republicans too, because they're bending over for Israel, allowing all of this immigration to come into our country, right? We have no border closings. Again, this was what Trump ran on. We have none of this today. We have everything basically being taken away from Americans and given to people from the third world. Again, lots of people from China. We're going to be covering a story where basically this mom abused this entire system, okay? So, again, we're getting to that, but this is what Ron DeSantis had to say about it. He's the governor of Florida. What do you think about this clip? Ultimately, he's pretty much covering what we were talking about here to begin with. So, again, as we wait for this to load, what do you think? Honestly, I think it's crazy when we look at the loopholes that are just being exploited and abused, and then it gives these liberals a right to basically say, well, this is what the founders had in mind, but it was never what the founders had in mind. This is not how it was intended to be used, not so that, again, illegal immigrants could exploit and abuse our entire criminal justice system, our entire migration system, all of it. So here's what Governor Ron DeSantis had to say.
But the law takes effect on July 1st today. And so we are not going to waste any time. We're going to move forward, and we're going to make sure that we're very robust in doing this. And so based on the recommendations of Florida's domestic security professionals and the authority, the newly established authority in law, my office and the cabinet are poised to officially designate the first slew of terrorist organizations under the new law. That'll be a reaffirmation of my prior executive order for the Muslim Brotherhood and the Council of American Islamic Relations. We will also be adding and ratifying Antifa as a domestic terrorist organization, as well as a number of groups that are affiliated with drug cartels or themselves drug cartels, such as Cartel de Sinaloa, Tren de Aragua, and other ones that you've heard of. And then finally, including this initial tranche, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps of Iran. These are things that have very strong factual bases.
And so when you look at this issue here, you know, this is a huge problem in the United States today. Again, these same terrorist groups, you have the IRGC, and then you have a lot of the Muslim taking over Dearborn, Michigan, for example. And essentially, these same people are having these anchor babies as well. And they're sending money back home. And so this 14th Amendment issue is being exploited. And then Ron DeSantis is also saying that he's basically labeling Antifa a terrorist organization. All these things, Florida's making the moves and doing what they got to do. Again, I'm not a huge fan of Ron DeSantis just because he has sold out to Israel a lot on a lot of different levels. But again, he's still doing something about it. And a lot of our politicians need to be doing something about it. So again, this is a good example right here.
Going to parents in
this
China.
Video,
who are the future parents?
This video is a good example of exactly how people are abusing the 14th Amendment. Okay, so in 2015, CNN does a segment on the growing trend/business of the Chinese using U.S. surrogates to have their babies in America. Their child will be a U.S. citizen. Imagine believing that the 14th Amendment and birthright citizenship should apply to this. So again, you have liberals who really believe this is like this is what the founding fathers intended. No, it was not. And so everything that the Supreme Court and the House basically approved of yesterday, basically blocking birthright citizenship, or not blocking birthright citizenship, refusing to block birthright citizenship, and basically taking that out of the equation. Now anybody can be an American citizen. Also basically making a lot of different voter laws that are going to be completely nonsensical. Again, you have illegal immigrants, anchor babies who are coming from illegal Americans or non-Americans even, like this situation right here, that will be allowed to vote in American elections. It's absolutely insane. So again, here is what CNN, this is a real story. This is what the Chinese are doing in other countries. This is how they're abusing this 14th Amendment.
I know it's not my baby.
Not even an American citizen.
Inside Audra Anderson will be going to parents in China.
Who are the future parents of this child you're carrying right now?
a Chinese gay couple. And they are the most wonderful people that I know. They are loving and caring. And if I didn't think that, I wouldn't have given them 2 wonderful children.
Anderson's surrogate pregnancy is not unusual. A growing number of women in the U.S. are becoming surrogates for wealthy Chinese couples. Agencies like West Coast Surrogacy in Irvine, California, are seeing a large influx of customers from overseas. In fact, 40% of their clients are from China.
For one, their child will be a U.S. citizen. I'm sure that has some draw to it.
你好。
There are other American companies trying to get in on this growing surrogacy industry. Unlike international adoption, there are very few rules governing international surrogacy. Here in a small desert town in Southern California, Audra Anderson says she's marrying a third straight shot. She earned from $35,000 to $45,000 for each baby.
$5,000 off of a baby that's not hers. It's going to go overseas to China. That Chinese baby will now be an American citizen. And on top of that, that Chinese citizen will now have the ability to come back to the United States and run for politics one day, maybe become the president, right? And so this is the problem with the 14th Amendment being shot down and this entire, or basically being upheld, right? And basically this entire birthright citizenship being allowed to happen still. So again, not only does it create chain migration, it also is creating the potentiality of not only voter fraud, but also you have now, again, anchor babies that are from completely different countries being abused by the system, and now they will be able to potentially become president one day, run for politics one day. And guess who will pay for it? Yeah, you. You're going to pay for it with your tax dollars. It's insane. And then you have the liberals who are saying, that's exactly what the Founding Fathers had in mind. The Congress is just for once holding up the Constitution. This is the big thing I see all over X. It's the big it's the big thing. Well, this is what they had in mind. You're just an idiot and you don't understand the Constitution. You don't know what you're saying. This is really what liberals are saying. They really believe this because they're stupid, but also because they don't understand what they're even talking about. They don't understand the national security threat that this actually creates. And you have these Democrats, and again, Amy Coney Barrett, who has a Haitian child herself, who's literally upholding this. And only because of the conflict of interest that she has a, again, Haitian child. And then we also have the other Supreme Court justice who literally said, well, they knew the assignment, and that's why we voted for this. So it's absolutely crazy. We have total communists, like, running our entire country. But the sad part is the Trump administration, if anybody could have stopped it, would have been the Trump administration. And now we have this situation where nothing can apparently be done. It's absolutely just insane. You know, nothing's being done, and there's really just total disjustice happening in the United States today over this, right? So when you look at this issue, this was another statement that was made on it. We are done bringing foreign women into this country to give birth to Democrat socialists. My Anchor's Away Act will ban birth tourism and shut down birthright citizenship. This is Representative Andy Ogles. So again, this is what he had to say on the matter.
You know,
who knows if they'll do anything, right? I play these videos because we're really trying to cover if there's any kind of solution to this issue, if anything's being done at all for this. And really, it's like, who knows what will happen, but we have to cover it. What are they saying they're going to do? I want action, right? Action speaks louder than words.
A way which really pushes back against the Supreme Court, this idea. Look, if you're pregnant and you're from a foreign nation, you know what? It's time for Congress to pass a law to say you can't come here. You can't have a baby on U.S. soil and exploit this loophole, and we're going to attack this head on. And so, you know, our founding fathers, they warned us about a judiciary that was too powerful. We're supposed to be co-equal branches of government. You have a judiciary that day in and day out legislates. Legislating is the job of Congress, and I'm tired of usurping or being usurped by the Supreme Court. And quite frankly, they got this horribly wrong. Just because you have 100 years of bad precedent doesn't make, you know, multiple wrongs don't make a right. And it's time for them to do their dang job. And so, you know what? In Congress, we're going to fight back. We're going to start passing laws. We're going to take our country back. We're going to secure the border. We're going to start kicking people out of this country. A way which really pushes back against the Supreme Court.
So seriously, I mean, this is one of the most pressing issues of our country today. It's one of the number one things people should really be concerned with. I mean, it is a major problem with the United States, our entire system. It is one of the biggest flaws in our Constitution that's allowing so much illegal immigration to happen today. And there's just no excuse for it. It's actually horrible, and it is an abuse of our system and our government, right? Because why? You have so many of these kind of citizens coming into America. Buffalo City Hall in New York raises a Somali flag one day after canceling the July 4th fireworks. One day after they canceled the July 4 fireworks, again, that's Independence Day if you forgot, you have the Somalis who are celebrating their Independence Day. We're literally giving fealty to another flag happening all over the country. Again, this comes from the End Wokeness X account. 1.6 million views on this. And crazy. These Somalis are coming over here in mass droves. Half of these people are probably anchor babies. Half of these people themselves have probably benefited from the birthright citizenship that has been granted to them so they can abuse it. And so what happens? They live off the EBT card. American taxpayers who actually have a job have to pay for their stay, and nothing is ever really done about it. Because why? The Supreme Court is either completely liberal, or B, they are owned by another foreign nation, and they have blackmail on them for whatever reason, or they're getting kickbacks. They're getting kickbacks, and they're making money from it. So again, you look at this image, and it's like you would think that you don't even live in the United States when you look at these pictures. Right? You look at this image, and this is a totally different country we live in. We do not live in America anymore. America is becoming a third world country, and we are destroying the American flag, taking it down so we can put up a Somali flag. And again, Somali does not offer much to the United States, by the way, almost nothing, actually, except a bunch of fraud businesses. Look at Nick Shirley's episodes on YouTube. Again, you have a ton of fraudulent businesses all over the country, not in just Minneapolis, but also Los Angeles, New York City, then all over Europe. These same people create these fake businesses and commit millions of dollars worth of fraud, millions of dollars, and nothing is ever done about it. It's insane. And we're supposed to pay for it as American taxpayers because of why the Birthright Citizenship Act. And so it's absolutely crazy. It's absolutely insane. It's total disjustice to America. And it is absolutely intentional disrespect towards our court and towards our entire justice system, everything. So again, who is to really blame, though, right? Well, you also have to remember that, again, who is taking over our government? Well, it is the Jews today. And the Israelis, I would say, not all Jews are bad, of course, but we do have an Israeli takeover and occupations of the United States. I've been talking a lot about the Muslim takeovers in Dearborn, but who is by policy letting these people in here? And it is often people, even if it's our own politicians who are not Jewish, they are almost always bought off by AIPAC, and they're getting millions and millions of dollars from AIPAC. And because they're getting millions and millions of dollars from AIPAC, these same individuals are basically writing the legislation which allows the illegal immigration to happen. And so then what do you get? You have Mamdani running for New York City mayor. He wins. Colorado, another Democrat wins in Congress, or another Democrat wins in their political campaign. It's insane. And so we always want to talk about the Holocaust and World War II and how bad the Germans were, but you think about the actual numbers, right? I saw this on X today. Is it true that there were only 500,000 Jews in Germany prior to World War II? And again, when we wait for the answer from Grok, look at that. Yes, in 1933, German census recorded about 500,000 to 525,000 Jews, roughly 0.75% of the population only. U.S. Holocaust memorial museums and other historical sources confirm this figure for pre-World War II Germany. Emigration reduced further by 1939. So how does that make sense that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust, right? And yeah, maybe it was 6 million. Maybe if we're just looking at everything, all the numbers, all the European countries, sure. Maybe Poland. We consider Ukraine. We consider Austria. Okay, sure. I just don't think that's true. But, you know, what we do know to be a fact was that 20 to 27 million European white people died. Europeans who, again, Germans, Austrians, between the Germans, the Austrians, between the Irish, between, again, the Americans, between the Soviets. And again, you look at, you know, the Bolshevik Revolution and all these things. 66 million Soviets killed. So it's absolutely insane how we are being told this version of history while today The Jews are committing a very real Holocaust and a very real genocide in Palestine and Gaza. And at the same time, what gets done about it? Nothing. And does America go and fight? No. We fight the Iranians. And we get ourselves into this war that we can't afford and that we're not going to win because it is Persia. Even Charlie Kirk said, you're going up against Persia. It's a huge country. It's a powerful country. At the end of the day, we have no reason to fight them either. And if we have no reason to fight them militarily, then why would we even be involved in that war? And so now you have these same people coming over from their war zone, migrating to America and Ireland and Germany and the UK. And they are invoking Sharia law in these cities. And what's happening with the white European people? Placed right in the middle of this entire situation between the Muslims and the Jews and basically being killed off systematically. And this is absolutely happening. You know, maybe ChatGPT and Grok would say that this is an anti-Semitic trope. Well, this is actually the truth. And this is what you're not supposed to know. And so, very interesting stuff, right? So 1933, 642.4 million Christians, 15.315 million Jews. 1948, 592,400,000 Christians. That's 90 million killed. And then 15.753 Jews, 480,000 more. But it is the Jews who claim they were the victims of a genocide. And so these are the records, these are the numbers. So when we look at this, kind of crazy. Kind of insane. So pull this up here, zoom it out a little bit. And it is, so these are the census numbers. Population worldwide by religious beliefs. Jews, 15.3. Jews, 15.753 after 1948. So we're just looking at a variation of these different numbers and how they kind of conflate, how they kind of differ from what we're being told in history. So maybe it was the Christians who really, suffered the real Holocaust in World War II. I would say so, especially white Europeans as a whole. Kind of crazy, kind of crazy. What are we really falling for today, right? I think it's all what you would call a psyop. So again, we also have Stephen Miller just issued one of the greatest on-air takedowns of birthright citizenship you will ever see. If your ruling requires you to suicide your civilization, your reading of the Constitution is wrong. This is absolutely a deep knife wound in the American public, the 14th Amendment that applies to foreign loyalties for everything.
Policy. So, Stephen, how'd you feel when you saw the decision come down?
Well, I had two feelings. First, the fact that it was 5-4, so agonizingly close, just underscored that the legal community on the right and left has been so wrong for so many years, saying this was going to be a 9-0 ruling against President Trump. The heartbreaking part of this is thinking about what it means for America over the long term. Well, the short term and the long term. Look, President Trump won some massive, unprecedented...
I don't want to pay for illegal immigrants to stay in my country. I don't know. I don't want to pay for illegal immigrants to stay here. I don't want to pay for... I don't want to go to my job and work hard so that, again, third world people, no offense, can come over to the United States, wave their foreign flag from the country they fled, complain about America, be liberal, hate on America all day long, tell me why I'm wrong about why this is wrong, and then we have to just tolerate it and listen to it. And the more people come in, we just lose our country even more, and they change our country even more. Again, the Somali flags being risen above the American flag, the Ilhan Omars, the Anchor Babies, the Vivek Ramaswamis, who are completely taking over. And, you see the Colorado election, the Democrat election, again, another Indian, basically, and basically pro-Israel. So you look at these candidates, they're all foreign, and they have no allegiance to the United States. And because of this birthright citizenship that has been held up, now we will have more of this migration coming in. No closed border at the same time. We are looking at a mass invasion in the hundreds of millions, and it's going to be bad unless something becomes changed here. There's just no doubt that this is a very real problem.
And victories with the Supreme Court, like the Haitian TPS ruling, the asylum ruling, the slaughter ruling, giving him unfettered authority to terminate federal bureaucrats. But this is absolutely a deep knife wound in the heart of the American Republic. Look, Jesse, I can step tomorrow onto the deck.
And by the way, when you look at this group of Supreme Court justices, just take a good look at them. You know, woman, you have an African-American woman who, again, by the way, her words were, they knew the assignment. That's in the Constitution now. That's on record. And so this is the language. This is what we're dealing with. And then we have Amy Coney Barrett, who has a Haitian child that she adopted. Big, huge conflict of interest, politically voting. And then you have somebody who really is like an Asian or something, and she is supposedly an American. Absolutely crazy.
Of a 747. It does not mean that I am the pilot of that plane and I'm qualified to fly it. Just physically being on U.S. soil does not make you a citizen or qualified to carry on or capable of executing the inheritance of this country.
And again, I say this, I agree with this because I'm a 10th generation American. My ancestors came from Scotland in 1752. And my dad's side, the Eckers, came over here in like the 1850s or something like that, maybe even a little earlier. I don't remember what theirs was on Ancestry. But they came from Norway and Sweden and then Germany. And so, yeah, when I look at this, I find this to be extremely just horrible. This is absolutely a smack in the face to real Americans who actually do deserve to be here, who have lived here, who understand. And again, as a 10th generation American myself, who, again, I became a police officer, I worked hard my entire life, paid my taxes, I never committed a misdemeanor, I never committed a felony, never violated the law, I uphold the law and the Constitution in my job every day. And when I look at this, I think it's absolutely horrible. And this is just, again, totally, like, what's the point of being an American if anybody can just come in here and be one? And then these same people get to vote. They get to make real decisions over the entire course of our country. Absolutely horrible.
We have people from all over the world, from third world nations, nations that on their own would have never invented the wheel, let alone modern technology, let alone medicine, let alone air travel. And they can just come into the country, have a baby at a hospital, paid for by you and me, and then that baby's automatically a citizen. That baby can sit on a jury when he turns 18 and sit in judgment of you, and sit in judgment of me, and sit in judgment of our loved ones, can decide who our mayors are, our governors are, our presidents are. Citizenship means nothing if it is open to everyone. The
100%.
idea that you can have a cruise ship filled with foreigners and it's dock at a port for an hour, and someone's baby, just the baby, an American citizen. They can vote in every election the rest of their lives. They can be living in foreign country and cashing welfare checks from American citizens. Look, I know that the justice worked on this. There is no possible reading of the 14th Amendment that applies to foreigners with foreign loyalties, foreign citizenship, foreign obligations, foreign everything. And another point, to preclude constitutional interpretation is wrong. If you're ruling